The 2015 Roman Rumble. Many thought that the end of the show would feature the one and only, the illustrious Daniel Bryan with a yes, 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 but it was no, 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 boo. My voice can't even go that low at this point in the morning. Boo. Alright, so Roman Rumble went exactly as I predicted. If you want to go check my predictions video, Roman Reigns won the Rumble, Brock Lesnar retained the title. We're having the clash of the heads at WrestleMania 31. It's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in the Battle of the Titans. And the fans threw a bit of a fit over it. And here's the thing, I got a lot to say on this subject, really. I don't want this video to go on too long. It probably will, but I was expecting it, and I was really wondering why the hell WWE brought Daniel Bryan back, to be honest. Now, he's my favourite wrestler, you know. He's my favourite current wrestler, and has been since about 2010. And ever since Shawn Michaels left, actually, pretty much, which is when he started, funnily enough. Yeah, I'm the biggest Daniel Bryan fan, but I just thought, why are they bringing him back now? Because Reigns is winning, and that has been obvious for the past 6 months. That the plan's going to be Reigns wins the Rumble, beats Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. It comes full circle. You know, very predictable, which isn't always a bad thing, you know. But 6 months ago, I figured that Reigns would still be improving. I don't think he has improved that much, and you know, his promos are awful. They're forced. He memorizes them and sometimes gets them wrong. And you can tell he memorizes them word for word. The thing that bothers me about Roman Reigns is I was such a huge fan of him about a year ago, and I still am a fan of him, but I just think that they're pushing him before he's ready. But sometimes you just have to throw someone in the deep end, and maybe they'll, you know, they'll rise to the top, or they'll just keep treading water. You don't know. But I think WWE, they just really want Reigns to be that guy now. You know, it's always been a question for the past few years: who's going to be the next guy? Who's going to be the next man? You know, really, yeah, you can talk about Shawn Michaels, you can talk about Bret Hart, you can talk about Triple H, The Undertaker, but really, when you talk about the guy, over the past 30 years at least, it's been Hogan, Austin, Cena. Who's the fourth man in that equation? You know, many people thought it was going to be CM Punk. It kind of wasn't. Cena was still the main guy during Punk's run. And a lot of people want that next guy to be Daniel Bryan, but it just isn't happening. You know, Reigns for me is their best bet as far as they're concerned. I think that one, they're concerned about Bryan's neck and whether he'll get injured again if they give him another push, and two, Daniel Bryan is short. And I hate to break it to you, but short guys do not make it as the guy in WWE. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. I wish it did, but it doesn't. You know. Guys like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, they've all had their WrestleMania moment, they've all had the big title win, and they've been the world champion, but it never lasts. You know, you have the honeymoon period, and then it just fizzles out, and they go back down to where they were before that. And that same thing is going to happen with Daniel Bryan. It's just that he left so soon after winning last year that I guess a lot of people expect him to kind of come back into that spot, but even though he is pretty much the most popular guy in the company right now, that's not really going to change much. Last year was such a perfect storm. You know, what happened with Batista and the fans rejecting him and thinking that Bryan was going to be in the Rumble, and turning on the match, turning on the pay-per-view, and then just, you know, chanting for him every week to the point where WWE had no choice but to put him in the main event and put him over for the title. That'll never happen again. The fans will never influence it like that again. But I think that people who go to these shows, who go to the Rumble in Philadelphia, think that that's how it's done now. And I think what happened last year has kind of put a perception on the fans that they can do anything, they can change anything, and it's not really the case. And it's different because it's not like we're getting a part-timer coming back and winning the Rumble. We're getting an up-and-coming guy who a lot of people like winning the Rumble. The thing is, it seems that a lot of people share my opinion that Reigns isn't ready yet, and most of the people in that building in Philadelphia, I think, felt the same. Now, what I don't get about how the WWE booked the Royal Rumble, again, is why they had Bryan in the match in the first place. Because you just know that the fans are going to have that memory of last year, and you know how pissed off everyone was, And they're going to expect that if you say, hey, Bryan's back, and in a couple of weeks he's going to be in the Rumble match, most people are going to expect that he's either got a good chance of winning or that he's going to win. So when you bring out, you know, number 10 in the match and then just unceremoniously dump him out about 10 minutes later, you're going to have the crowd turn on you. I think what they were trying to do, and at first I thought was smart, was to get Bryan out early so that, you know, 40 minutes go on and then Reigns wins the match and everyone's forgotten about Bryan, but that didn't happen. But it's not just Daniel Bryan. People need to understand this. It's not just a Daniel Bryan thing. I've seen people on Twitter, you know, no offense to you, but you say, oh, why does Bryan have to win everything? You know, why do the fans always after Bryan? Well, it wasn't just about Bryan. You know, when Ziggler came out, the fans were excited. It brought some more life back into the match. When Ambrose came out, yes, people love Ambrose, you know. They want to see the people that they like and that they love win the big one. But, you know, anyone who thought that Ziggler was going to win the Rumble, I'm sorry, but dreaming. You're absolutely dreaming. That would never happen. As over as Ziggler gets, he's never getting to that spot. And I love Ziggler as well, but it's just not happening. He's short. He's not big. He's not bulky. He's not muscly. He hasn't got the look that they want, like Reigns does. When I saw that Reigns was quite good in the ring a couple of years ago, I thought, he's the next guy. He's big, muscly. They're going to push him. You know, as long as he's, you know, not a bad wrestler, and he's not a bad wrestler. I just don't think he's quite there. He's not really like quite on the incredible level that he needs to be. He might get there in time. You know, maybe in a couple of years he might be, you know, the biggest thing in wrestling. I just don't feel like it's going to happen the way the WWE want it to happen. I think they're trying to push him too soon in that spot. Anyway, you know, I think Rollins is more ready than Reigns is. You know, which again, it's not just a Daniel Bryan thing. Much as I love Daniel Bryan, it's not the main issue here. I don't think. And you know, it wasn't even like a case of them teasing. I mean, Bryan got thrown over the ropes. It wasn't like he almost got eliminated a couple of times. He got thrown over the ropes, and the fans were like, oh, who? And then, oh no, he's out. And everyone was, you can tell people in the crowd were just like, what? What? So early, you know? And I wonder whether they could have got away with it if they kept Bryan until the end, you know, like say Bryan, Reigns, and I don't know, Bray Wyatt and Rusev, and you have like, you know, oh, Bray Wyatt's out, oh, Daniel Bryan's out, oh, boo, and then Reigns eliminates Bray Wyatt, and then, oh, yeah, you know, if you had it like kind of the excitement of the moment, and The Rock comes out to congratulate Reigns, then they might have been able to gloss it over in a quick fire fashion, but they just cut the air out of the Rumble before it, you know, really gotten into the meat of it. Before it was even halfway through, Bryan was out, and I just thought it was a weird decision, and not because I'm saying, oh, Bryan should win the Rumble, Bryan should win everything. No, it's because it was just weird, because they should have known that the crowd were going to turn on the match when they eliminated the number one, you know, over guy in the company. Yeah, it's seen as more popular in terms of just numbers, but you know, he gets the cheers and the boos, whereas Bryan gets mostly cheers. He gets some boos, but mostly cheers. And so I was, again, when Bryan came out, the crowd went nuts. They were loving it, you know, just the yes, yes, and it just felt like, yeah, this is great. And then no, he's out, you know. Okay, WWE. You know, I just find it funny. I just thought, like, what were people expecting? You know, it's the Roman Rumble. He's gonna win. It was just so obvious to me, and I had no doubt in my mind, really, that was what was going to happen. And then we all started to realize, okay, The Rock has kind of been teased as being, you know, at the show. He's not in the Rumble, so he's probably going to come out and congratulate Reigns, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was just like, what I hated was just the booking of it at the end. You know, you got two guys like Big Show and Kane. All the respect to them. I saw Big Show live in Cardiff, and he was just taking too many bumps, and I was thinking, man, he's really, you know, dedicated. I have a lot of respect for Big Show, but I don't have a lot of respect for the way they book Big Show. It's just like, heel, baby, heel, baby, heel, baby. I just have such a disconnect with Big Show. I just couldn't give a flying fuck what he does, because you just never know what he is or what he's doing or what they decide to do with him that week. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? You know, it depends every week. And then Kane, who again, great career, but I mean, he's just there to just suck the life out of everything. You know, any match that you're interested in, there's Kane pulling the referee out. There's Kane pulling someone out. There's Kane beating up Daniel Bryan. It just gets too much. It's just like, oh, you know, it's bad heat. I don't know. I don't like it. And then maybe that means he's doing his job. I don't know. But Kane and Big Show beat up Ziggler, and they just literally just lift him up and they just dump him out. Just done. You know, and the crowd were just like, oh, punch out Ambrose, pick him up, you know, just dump him out. Done. You know, there was no excitement to it. There was no suspense. You know, there was no Ambrose fighting back and getting back out on the inside of the ring and then running off the ropes and then getting thrown out or something exciting like that. It was just like picked him up like a rag doll and just dumped him out. And then it's like, you know, I don't know what WWE were expecting for everyone to go, yeah, Reigns! But no, they're just boo, 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 boo. Reigns throws them both out, boo, boo, boo. Rock comes out and everyone was like, yeah, The Rock. And even then, after about 2 minutes, the fans were still booing. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, that The Rock came back after, like, I forget when he came back to do that thing with Rusev, but, you know, Rock makes very rare appearances. It was a big deal. It's Philadelphia, hot crowd. Well, it was a hot crowd before they cut the cut the atmosphere in half. But Rock comes out, you know, crowd enjoyed it for a bit. But when he's like celebrating with Reigns, it was just like boo. And that picture of The Rock was incredible. The look on The Rock's face when he's raising Reigns' arms and everyone's just like unimpressed was so funny. He's just kind of like, huh? Wait, what? What? You know, it was just ridiculous. You know, then Triple H and Stephanie come out. I don't know why. Again, I'm not following the weekly Raw, but as far as I'm concerned, well, I guess Big Show is Big Show part of the Authority? I don't know. I don't know if Reigns has been feuding with the Authority. It just didn't make much sense to me. I suppose he is, and he will be now because it's going to be the Authority versus Reigns to stop him from. It's it's so silly that the whole Authority thing. You know, they put so much stock into Survivor Series. You know, if Team Cena wins, the Authority's gone for good. Team Cena wins, and then here's the Authority back again. I mean, I don't know. I just lose so much enthusiasm for it, you know. But I'm not going to be one of those people who says, "Oh, I'm not watching anymore. Oh, I'm cancelling my network subscription." You know, no, I'm going to keep watching because I recognise that I'm one of those mugs who moans about what WWE does, but I keep coming back for more anyway, and they know that, so they don't care. They don't care if the crowd react like. Well, I'm sure they care if the crowd react like they did last night, but we're not going to see last night again. I mean, that was Philadelphia. It's one of those crowds that are like that, like Chicago, you know, or New York. But I'm sure, you know, tonight, Raw, the fans are going to be loving Reigns, and you know, there's also the question of Brock Lesnar, who's being booked as kind of a bit of a babyface now. People are loving Lesnar, so is Reigns going to get booed at WrestleMania? I don't know. We'll see what happens, but for me, I don't think Reigns and Lesnar will be a particularly great match. Could be a very good one. But I mean, all you need to look at is the title match last night to see that when Lesnar locks it up with someone who's young and hungry and agile and talented, great things will happen. You know, of course, Cena and Lesnar had a lot to do with the match, but Rollins had a great performance last night. It was an incredible match, so entertaining, so back and forth. The crowd were into it so much. It was an amazing match, and then you just cut that out with the Rumble. But you know, the whole 3 years that Lesnar's been back, his best match was against Punk, you know, and that says a lot. You know, Triple H he had matches with, and they were boring. You know, most of his matches with Cena were boring, apart from the Extreme Rules one. Well, I guess SummerSlam was interesting, but the Night of Champions one was just. But yeah, it's really exciting to see Lesnar in there with newer guys like Punk and Rollins. So for me, Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar would have been the best match to have at WrestleMania because it would have been the great David Goliath story, and it would have been an incredible hard-hitting wrestling match, the likes of which we've never seen in America, I don't think. I think it would be a great blend of styles and a great hard-hitting match, and possibly one of those 5-star classics. But WrestleMania is not usually about what makes the best match, it's about what makes the most money, and I think they're really going to see, you know, big muscly Reigns against big muscly Lesnar as more of a poster marquee match, and also they want to push Reigns as their next guy. You know, I understand it, I get it, and I'm happy for Reigns that he's getting this push. You know, even if I think he's not ready, because I do like him, but I feel bad for him about what happened last night because it's a real tough spot to be in. It's a real tough spot, and I think, you know, I just don't understand why WWE just couldn't have left Bryan on the sidelines until after the Royal Rumble, and then, you know, could have maybe sidestepped a lot of that reaction that they got last night. I really think that should have happened, but hey, what do I know? You know, what do I know? Not much. And again, the Daniel Bryan thing, it's been done. You know, the journey to the title last year was an incredible story, and I've said it before. I think the Daniel Bryan journey from SummerSlam 2013 to WrestleMania 30 is probably the best underdog story like ever told in sports for me. Well, I wouldn't say that because I don't know much about sports if we're talking about every sport, but you know, for me it was just, I mean, it is a story, you know, sports entertainment, but it was, for me, it was better than Rocky in terms of the underdog coming up and winning the big one. It was just a great story, and the fact that we influenced it, you know, that was never the plan, but the fans made it the plan, because the fans put their foot down and said, we want Bryan, and they had no choice but to give it to us. But it's not, lightning isn't going to strike twice, and I think that people start trying to hijack shows with Daniel Bryan chants. It's just not going to work, you know. And I just hope that Bryan gets a good match at WrestleMania, because if he does, he'll steal the show, and WWE will see that you know, he's probably the best worker in the company right now. But you know, that's just the way it is sometimes. I mean, you know, someone like Chris Jericho, who has great matches, but you know, never really was the guy, you know, or Shawn Michaels in his whole last run from 2002 to 2010, he was never really the guy, you know. I think Bryan will be in that spot, you know, of the guy who has consistently fantastic matches at pay-per-views and steals the show. You know, as much as Ziggler says he's the show stealer, put Bryan in a good match and he will steal the show for you. And that's not a bad spot to be in. It really isn't. But I think the dream for Bryan is really over at this point. I just hope that he doesn't have any more injuries and he can have a few more years left in him and just have some great matches and great moments. And Reigns, I hope that he's ready. I think he will surprise me. So there's that. But overall, the Rumble was a great show up until the moment Daniel Bryan got eliminated, and it's not because I wanted Daniel Bryan to win. It's because they handled it terribly. They really did. If I was there, I would have just said, right, let's leave Bryan on the sidelines for a bit. He can come back after the Rumble, build up a WrestleMania match, you know, against whoever. Give Reigns his moment and keep Bryan out of the mix, because it's just going to make the fans boo Reigns, which is exactly what happened. I guess they knew that was going to happen, but they thought that The Rock coming out was going to save it all and make Reigns popular by association. But even that didn't really work. There were a couple of cheers, you know, but it was awkward. It was awkward, and it gave me a little pit in my stomach. It was just like, oh, it's hard to watch, you know. So there you go. That's my very long thoughts on the Roman Rumble 2015. You know, I'm not too pumped about WrestleMania. You know, we got Cena Rusev probably going down. Not really that pumped about that. Triple H and Sting could be a fun spectacle, but not really expecting anything fantastic. And then we got Lesnar and Reigns, which, again, I got no idea what the fuck they're doing with booking Lesnar. They're trying to book him as a face now. Don't know why. You know, I mean, yes, he's getting cheered, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with Lesnar and Reigns and where they're going with that. Maybe Rollins will get involved. Maybe the unimaginable will happen, and you know, it'll be Rollins and Reigns at the pay-per-view or something at WrestleMania. Highly doubt it though. I think that they made Lesnar beat the streak. Vince made Lesnar beat the streak so that he could win the title and have this memorable title run where he's never there, and then, you know, drop the belt at WrestleMania 31 and pass the torch to the next guy who will beat the guy who beat the streak, you know, and that's going to be Reigns. So there you go. Let me know what you thought about the Roman Rumble, and yeah, that's me done on wrestling for a bit. I think I'm a bit exhausted with it, watching it last night. And someone asked me if I was going to do live reactions. I've done a live reactions Rumble video every year since I've had this channel, but no, I just I watched it late night, you know, in bed on my laptop, and Norway over here is an hour ahead, so I had to stay up till 5 AM, and it was a slog. It really was, and I wasn't going to make a video while I was watching it, but maybe next year. But you got my thoughts anyway, and yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I've bored myself just talking about it, to quote The Office. Really tired, I just woke up, but just lost my steam there. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next video, and leave any suggestions for wrestling videos, and I might do some, but back to the movie stuff I think for the time being. got some of the wrestling out of my system, and I'll probably come back to it around WrestleMania time. See ya.
Really nice guy, looks after his friends. He only chucks them about the place a couple of times on the weekend. Yeah, he's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool.